Pinky. I am so excited to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I feel so honored.
Oh, yay. Well, I went into your restaurant when I was in Atlanta shooting recently. The hype behind your restaurant before I got there was from every single person in Atlanta, by the way. So this is not like my vegan friends or anything. This was everybody told me, have you been to Slutty Vegan? And I had been trying the last time I was there, but I kept, I had been told by Michelle how, be prepared for lines. Anyway, my son and I geared up and we decided we were going to brave it, and we did. But we got so lucky that day. It was really good. And the guy at the door was so cool. His vibe was amazing. And I asked him what we should get. He said, definitely get the one night stand, which I'd also been told by my friend Priscilla. She had said, you have to get the one night stand. And then it went right when you walk in, the energy of the place. I was dancing, I was singing, we were going off. And then every time there's moments where everybody starts sort of yelling and talking and singing in the place. It's just wild and fun. And it was such a good vibe. So well done. And then you get to the food, and the food is delicious. So Thank you.
No, thank you. It's so beautiful to hear people talking about the experience, because my intention was met with the things that you say. Like, I want people to come for the experience, and then they happen to leave with the food. So that makes me feel really good and warms my heart.
So you do have these lines around the door, right? I mean, at times I was lucky to avoid them, but there are 2-hour waits, 6-hour waits. It's out of control. And, what do you think is making that happen? And I mean, everyone always says that vegan food isn't as yummy, but you're obviously proving them wrong. So why do you think that you're having lines around the door?
So there's a few things here, Alicia. The first thing is people have fell in love with my story. So I had a restaurant before in Harlem, New York. It caught on fire, had a grease fire, so I lost everything. So this is the story of a woman who grinded so hard, lost everything to a fire, car got repoed, lost my apartment, went flat broke, almost fell into a depression, but really rose above the circumstances. So people see me and they see hope. So they see somebody who really rose above every single obstacle and created something for all people in the name of food. And they wanted to be a part of that. So when you see an authentic story like that, people are like, I got to get with that. I want to support it. I want to be around it. I want to be a part of that experience. And that is the first piece of why people love Slutty Vegan. The second thing is it's organic, like my personality. Like, just like you said, when you walk in a Slutty Vegan, it's going to be raw, real, authentic. We're going to give you a little bit of ratchet, but a lot of sophistication and a lot of professionalism with ultimate customer service, right? And we couple those things together and give you an ultimate experience that makes you feel like it's Hershey Park and Six Flags and Adventure World and all your favorite amusement parks, because it's a memorable experience. And then the last piece, it's about community. So I'm really big on the community element of Slutty Vegan. And before I had this business, I've always fostered community values and making sure that I'm creating an ecosystem anywhere I go. So when I created Slutty Vegan, I decided to do a foundation where I'm helping to bridge the generational wealth gap and provide opportunities for people who need them, whether that's entrepreneurs, people who want to learn more about financial literacy, and giving people the resources and access to the tools that I have so that they could be better, upstanding citizens in America. And you don't see all three of those pillars in a small business, right? You either going to get like one or the other. But I'm changing the dynamic and really disrupting the restaurant space beyond food. And people love it, and it makes them fall in love with Slutty Vegan every day.
While you obviously had to grieve the loss of this restaurant, and it could have been crushing, that actually it was a good thing that happened, because before you were serving chicken at this restaurant, and now you explode. So that thing had to light on fire for you to align with yourself and do what you're so passionate about. And I think that's so beautiful. The purpose over profit. And if you can talk about that a little.
It's about alignment, right? And it took for me to go through those stages in my journey to really realize that, like, alignment is so real. Like, money means nothing if you're not in alignment, right? If you're not intentional about who you are, and what you're doing, who cares about the money, right? The money's going to come, but you're going to lose it. And I realized when I had my first restaurant, I was not in alignment with my purpose, right? I was doing it for money. I mean, obviously, subconsciously, I didn't know that was happening, but that's what I was doing, right? And I realized when you do things for money, they don't work. And I was vegan selling chicken. That should tell you already. So I'm telling people chicken tastes good, and I didn't even eat it. So I couldn't even identify with it. And I haven't eaten meat since 2007. So you can imagine, I'm literally telling people to do something that I don't even do. But now when I have Slutty Vegan, I realize I'm walking in my purpose. I'm getting people to eat a plant-based lifestyle and opening their consciousness to healthier options, even if it starts at vegan comfort food. And I'm walking in my truth. And because I get to walk in my truth, it feels good to me. It feels consciously correct. And I get to make money, which is like the third piece of all of this. And I get to help people along the way. And that part feels good. So for anybody that's listening to this, being in alignment in anything that you do is so absolutely necessary, because it really will shape the foundation of how you show up in the world.
Yeah. And the fact that you had the courage to stand in your purpose and your truth. A lot of people are afraid. They think if I can't do it if I don't add this thing that everybody else I think wants. Yeah. But look what you've done. So beautiful. Yes. You kind of touched on it when you were talking about your foundation, but what is your dream? What is your mission? What is your biggest, deepest wish?
I want people to reimagine food in a way that they've never seen it before. And when I say that, I mean it in the most genuine way. I started Slutty Vegan in the heart of the South, where traditional soul food is at the forefront of family, right? So to be able to start a concept where veganism wasn't as popular as it is now, and doing something that the other big businesses weren't doing to educate people about this lifestyle, that was a big deal. Was it an easy feat? Absolutely not. But to be able to do that and get people who would normally never be interested in veganism or plant-based living to at least open up their eyes and say, you know what, I'm willing to try that. That is what fills me up every single day. Eat some vegan options, whether processed or not, right? Start somewhere, and then you'll realize that this food tastes just as good, if not better, as the non-vegan options. And it allows me to walk in my purpose and in my truth. So when I'm long and gone, when Pinky is dead and gone, and I have achieved my wildest dream, I want people to remember the idea that there was this young Black woman who helped people see it through in a way, in the world of veganism, in a way that they've never seen it before, but I made it cool. And in doing it in the coolest way, helping people to live a healthier lifestyle.
That's beautiful. The reason you want them to touch and taste this vegan food is what? Because you want them to be healthier?
So it's not even just about health, right? So like, whether you want to be healthier, whether you want to do it for the ecosystem, for the animals, whatever your reason is, has nothing to do with me, right? But speaking for myself, going vegan was the best decision that I've ever made in my life, right? It gave me a level of mental clarity that was unmatched. It allowed me to use and see with my third eye, right? And I live and breathe healthier. I'm conscious about the things that I consume. And if I can get more people to think that way, then I'm moving in the right direction. So I grew up as a vegetarian. I marinated in the womb of a vegetarian. My mother has only eaten fish my whole entire life, right? So in 2007, when I decided to ditch meat, it was really an easy transition because I grew up this way. My mother's a Rastafarian. I grew up eating Ito Jamaican food. So to be able to teach young people, especially with all the things that they're putting in the food right now, they're like, there's another way. If I can do that and do it in a way where I'm infusing it into pop culture, where I'm making it just as cool as Nike and Jordan and Air Force Ones and all of those things, if I can make it just as cool in the culture as everything else, then I know that we can start to change the conversation on how we see and consume food.
It's so beautiful. And I'm assuming your customers are not all vegan. In fact, maybe a huge percentage are not.
3% of my customers are vegan. And I like it that way.
That's amazing.
I like it that way because the vegans
You're not
already
preaching
got
to
it.
the cow. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
the vegans have already figured it out, right? I'm coming out with a
Yes.
cookbook. It's called Eat Plants, Bitch. And I'm directly talking.
I love that.
I'm directly talking to the meat eater because
Yeah. Oh my
the
God.
vegan has already opened up their consciousness, right? Like, and there's stages to veganism. Like some of us are vegans who love processed food. Some of us are alkaline vegans. Some of us are raw vegans. My ultimate goal is to be a raw vegan, right? But they've already entered into the wave of stages. I'm trying to get to the people that's eating pork, beef, rib tips, all of that stuff. Because if I can reach you, then I know that I can get the message across to you and the people that you love.
I love you.
I love you back.
Okay. So, Pinky, what would you say is the biggest problem that your community faces? The people in your community, what are the biggest struggles?
Lack of access in the food space. When I think about especially how I open Slutty Vegans, I'm very mission specific. I go into food insecure areas. I go into vegan food insecure areas and areas that, developers are not really interested in. So when I think about the problems, I think about how I could become the solution. So let's start with food, right? You go into an urban community and the food options are very slim, right? You'll see the same 3 fast casual restaurants, no vegan options in sight. So if people don't have the access to the resources, how can they consume them? So that's one problem. The solution here is to put Slutty Vegan in those desolate areas that will make people want to eat better food. The second piece here is the fact that there aren't any really decent restaurants in inner city communities. I'm going into the spaces that are right in the heart of gentrification or in communities that are suffering, and I'm reviving those communities. I'm helping to build up the community and helping business owners along the way also win, because if Slutty Vegan comes into town, then they can capitalize off of my audience as well. So I'm very solution driven when it comes to my business. So I identify those problems. And again, I obviously can't solve every single one of them, but if I can tackle 3 or 4 at a time, then I know that we can make small victory changes that will impact the bigger picture.
What about the fact that people always say being vegan is so expensive? I hear it every day.
That is bullshit. Hopefully I can curse. Sorry.
I know.
Let me tell you something.
Bullshit.
Right. When I go to the grocery store, the first place I'm going is into the produce aisle, right? That's my favorite place in the grocery store. And when I tell you, if you are strategic, you can literally spend $20 and fill up. Right? You can get your cabbage, you can get your greens, you can get your fruits, you can get your vegetables. It is not hard. I tell people this all the time. Being vegan and being plant-based is really about your mindset. Like, it starts here. Just like you wake up and brush your teeth, you wake up and make a conscious decision to eat vegan, right? And it doesn't have to cost money. Like, you can get creative. The most beautiful piece of like being a part of this lifestyle is that like I can go in the kitchen and make up something new, totally different every single day, and like whip up something together and let my friends try it and they love it. Like, you don't have to limit yourself just because you put the word vegan in front of it. And I think sometimes people get so caught up in the word and the political correctness of it that it takes away from them really indulging in what the lifestyle really means and how they can really be impacted by it. But it's not expensive at all. I save a lot of money being vegan, actually. And because I like being alkaline vegan, right? I love kale, I love mushrooms. So those things are cheap. Like, you can make a mushroom meatloaf taste like a real meatloaf if you use the right flavors. And there's recipe books everywhere. And if you apply yourself, you can do it for a low cost.
Okay, so your foundation you mentioned earlier. What are you guys doing? Like, I've heard of some amazing things you're doing, but I want to hear from you. What are you doing?
Oh, so much. So I'll tell you what we've done and I'll tell you what we're about to do. So I started the foundation in 2019. And it was really a way to like stop spending so much money without putting it on paper, because I help a lot of people, because that's what I just love to do. So my finance guy was like, okay, we got to make this organization. So I did that. And since I had the foundation, I've done so much. I've partnered with Impossible Foods and Jermaine Dupri to get people excited about the past election that helped to turn Georgia blue. Rashard Brooks, who was murdered in the Wendy's parking lot, I partnered with another local organization to provide $600,000 worth of scholarships for the children, life insurance for the family, a brand new car for the family so that they didn't have to take public transportation anymore. I've also partnered with the Steve Harvey and Marjorie Foundation to provide hundreds of lights for families in Atlanta. I've paid the rents to local businesses in the area so that they didn't have to close due to the pandemic. I've given out thousands of pounds of fruits and vegetables in the communities in which I serve. So not only am I giving you burgers and fries, I'm also showing you that here are some alkaline options too, and these are yours to keep. Come get them. I've given away coats. I've paid the balances of 30 college students at Clark Atlanta University so that they could walk across the stage. Just recently, I partnered with Derek Hayes, he's another local business owner, to provide Black men with life insurance if they make $30,000 or less that they didn't have to pay for. They get to choose their policy and their beneficiary, just so that, more men, Black men especially, can get insured so that they can learn about mental health and financial literacy. But we've done so much: scholarships, give backs. We've given cars. We've helped people get in school. And the reason why I do that is because I watched my mom do it, right? Growing up in a Jamaican household, my father served 22 years in prison. So I saw my mother serve as mommy and daddy and help everybody, right? And kept a smile on her face. And I absorbed who my mother was, and I became that woman who I am today. And it brings me joy when I can utilize my resources to help people and make people better. So I'm excited about what the foundation has done. And I'm even excited about what we're about to do, because this is bigger than just a 501c3. This is really a safe space for people to learn about financial literacy and business and entrepreneurship and building an ecosystem. I'll tell you a funny story. My first location, it's in a place called the West End in Atlanta. And once upon a time, I had the line was completely down the block around the corner every single day. And the neighborhood, they weren't too happy about it because they felt like I was causing some friction in the neighborhood. And Alicia, do you know what I did? I bought the local daycare and I'm turning it into a community center to show that I'm invested into this community, and I'm doing it through my foundation. So that is just an example of the things that we do. And every single location that I open up, I make sure that I impound myself into the community through my foundation to offer opportunities, to offer resources, and to give back to the same space that's giving back to me. So I'm excited about everything that the foundation has done.
I read that you were helping juveniles who had been, put in juvie get jobs at your place. And I thought that was so amazing because most people are not open to people coming. I mean, there are people who are open to that, but it's not often. So it's really beautiful that you're doing that.
I want to tell you a story about that. So it's called the Fresh Start Initiative, and I partnered with the Department of Juvenile Justice to offer 30 ex-juvenile offenders an opportunity to come and work. One, because my father, my whole entire life, he was in prison. So I know what it feels like to be on the other side of the system, right? So yeah. I could only imagine what it feels like to be in the system. I've never been in it, but I know what it feels like because my father was there. So I partnered with Department of Juvenile Justice, great program. Had several guys come in and work at Slutty Vegan, even got promoted. One of the young men, his name was Christian White, and he was working for me for about 6 months. He got promoted. He was doing an amazing job. And then unfortunately, earlier this year, he was murdered on Mother's Day. And the reason why I'm telling you that story is because it was just another constant reminder that the work is never done, right? This is not for accolades for me. It's really to be able to encourage and empower young people, especially who need a second chance, to show them that you can do it no matter what your circumstances are, no matter what you've been through, no matter what people told you that you couldn't do. You got somebody named Pinky Cole that's willing to help you get to the next level. And I'm happy about that. And, rest in peace to Christian, but he really is a motivating driver for me to keep going through my foundation and doing all the work that I'm doing.
So you mentioned your dad being in prison, which I imagine would be a very heartbreaking experience. And, but you were a baby, right? It was the day you were born, so you probably didn't know any different. But I also read that he was the one who gave you some incredible advice that led you to be where you are today. So what did he teach you, and how? Did you see him weekly? Did your mom bring you to him? What was your relationship with your daddy who was in prison?
So I had a great relationship with my father. Contrary to popular belief, although he was gone, he was in federal prison. But every single holiday, that's why I respect my mom so much. She made sure that every single holiday I saw my dad. I laugh and I tell people like I grew up in prison because I did. Like I can remember getting wanded, sitting at a table for 2 hours, the buzzer going off. Okay, you got to go. Driving to Hagerstown. Like I did the rigmarole when you talk about federal prison. But one thing that my father did is he made sure that although he wasn't physically there, he was always mentally present. So he would instill in me everything entrepreneurship, right? I was 14 having parties, making $4,000 a day and selling candy and selling McChickens. But I got that from my dad. He was a hustler. And although he didn't make the most legal decisions, he made the decisions that was best for him at the time. But he knew that, okay, I'm in prison for a long time. I'm going to make sure that my offspring get the nuggets that I had. Listen, my father is probably the smartest man that I've ever met in my life. I think he's read every single book in America, right? He's one of those. And he's a vault. I can call him and ask him anything. My father taught me about the stock market in prison. He taught me how to read business books and the right business books to read. He helped me with a plan of what I wanted to do with my life. And more importantly, he made me want to not be mediocre, right? Like mediocrity don't even exist in my vocabulary because of my dad. And although he couldn't physically be there, he instilled so much in me. Right now, he's in Jamaica. He got deported. And he's in Jamaica, and he is a part of my big reason and my big why. And I keep going because of him and my mother, because I see them and it warms my heart to know that they still have life and breath, to see the success I've made this far. And a lot of people can't say that they have parents still alive to see them make it to a certain level, and to be able to do what I do and my parents are alive to see it. That is a motivating factor for me.
It's so beautiful. It just fills my heart so much to hear that. I'm so happy that you had these amazing people in your life and that they came in an interesting, the fact that he was in prison makes it very interesting, right? It's not your norm, but it's beautiful that they both loved you and cared so much. I know that you were vegetarian because your mom was Rasta, right? And then what made you decide to go vegan? Like what was the thing? And then what did you feel? What were the changes that happened for you when you did that?
So all the long-term decisions I've ever made in my life really came at a cold turkey moment. I just woke up one day and I just didn't want to eat fish anymore. The only thing I was eating was fish and cheese. It was really just a cold turkey decision. I'm that person that I'm always on YouTube looking up a challenge, trying to figure out like, I am like a master faster. Right? Like I'm always fasting, always figuring out ways to be better. And this was one of those ways to be better. So I decided to do it cold turkey. It was the same time I decided to lock my hair, and I never looked back. So it wasn't like I started and like, oh, it's hard for me, let me get some chicken gravy. No, it was like I went cold turkey. And I'm so happy that I did it. The first changes that I realized was that I did lose a little bit of weight. But it was minute. It wasn't a lot. But then I just felt clearer. Like my mindset felt clearer. I felt better. I wasn't as sleepy. Since I decided to go vegan, there have been so many people in my world that has decided to make the switch as well. Even if they decided to go pescatarian and stop eating as much meat, because just naturally, when people see the way that I eat and show up in the world, they feel like they have an obligation to do the same thing, which is good. So that means that I have an influence on people. But I'm so happy that I did it. How long have you been vegan?
Oh, I did it when I was 21 and I'm 45. What's the math on that?
A long time, which is a good long time.
Yeah, long time. 23 years. Yeah.
Oh, dope. That's amazing. How do you feel?
Yeah, amazing. When I went vegan, it was, I was on an asthma inhaler and allergy shots twice a week. And I would take antibiotics a couple times a year. That was normal, if you got bronchitis or the flu or whatever. And my general state was tired and I was working so hard at the time. So, yeah, that change for me. I did it for the animals. I didn't want to eat animals anymore. It didn't feel like I was walking in my truth with that because I loved animals so much, and then I was allowing them to be murdered so I could eat them. And so it didn't make sense to me. But when I changed it, it was a magical surprise that I ditched the asthma inhaler right away. The allergy shots stopped. I no longer used antibiotics. My skin cleared up. I had acne and all cleared up. I slimmed down. My skin got really vibrant. My eyes got really white. My nails got really hard. I couldn't bend them anymore. They were so brittle before.
Right.
And also my consciousness changed. Like you had said a moment ago that I was able to align with my truth in a much bigger way. You had talked about your third eye, and how I interpret that is the same as my feeling of being able to follow my internal guide much clearer. It was just all that like slop was off of me so that I could think and see clearly. So it was incredible. But I feel like it's good karma because all of those rewards came from just making a choice not to hurt the animals. So I thank the animals for that.
I love that. And even in like that consciousness that you said, like I've always been an empath, but I'm an even stronger empath. I can connect to people's energy so much better as a vegan. Like I can feel the room. I can feel when somebody's sad, when somebody's happy. And I attribute that to veganism. I really do.
Okay. So you had said, there was a quote where you said, if you think not particularly you, somebody said, if you think the phenomenon is only about food, you're greatly mistaken. Cole has hit the trifecta of community, commerce, and compassion. So I think we've talked about this, but how did you get to a place where you knew that these three things had to come together?
So I am a foodie, a big foodie. And what I noticed throughout the years is when I go to restaurants, I eat with my eyes and I move with my heart. And I realized there weren't many restaurants that really speak to all three of those things. One in particular that I can say that does it a little bit, but they're not a vegan restaurant, is Shake Shack. But I wanted to do that on the vegan side. So when I created Slutty Vegan, it was really a way to be able to fill up all three of those pillars because I wanted to exist in a space where people see a great organization that is intentional, mission driven, has a great experience, has great food, and gives back to the community. When you have all of those things, it is a recipe for success, no matter how you put it. And this part doesn't have anything to do with money, right? It has everything to do with longevity, impact, how you are pronounced in the city. Just like you said, when you came to Atlanta, everybody told you to come to Slutty Vegan. And they might have told you to come to try the food, but it's not just about the food. It's about how we resonated in the city and how we've become a staple in the community that when you come from another city, country, town, state, this is one of those places that you have to come before you leave because of what we stand for.
Yeah. How did you come up with your recipe? And you're not using Impossible for your burgers, right? Isn't it, is it some special secret recipe?
We use a couple different proteins. So we use Impossible, we use Beyond Meat, we use Incognito, we use some scratch-made stuff in-house. And the reason why we use so many different proteins is because people have a preference, right? There's so many amazing vegan options on the market now. And some people like some and some others like the others. And I wanted to be able to have some options for other people. So our recipes that are scratch-made, we have some vegan proteins that are scratch-made. And then we make our sauce from scratch. And the secret is in the sauce. All the sauces, all of our batters, all the things that we use. So when you eat Slutty Vegan, it's like a party in your mouth. It's like a little salty, tangy, spicy, sweet, chili. It gives you a little bit of everything. And it really taps into all of your taste buds that makes people come back again and again and again, which is why you see the lines down the block. But our specialness is that secret sauce, which people go crazy for. And I'm sure that you tasted it and loved it. But people want to know what's in the sauce. And I don't tell them. But
Well,
we put a lot of love. We put a lot of love in the sauce. And that sauce is the multi-million-dollar secret that has allowed us to keep going.
Okay, so the people who keep coming back and all these people who are not vegan, right? Do they ever say, I mean, just want to know, does anybody ever say to you, I'm sure they do, but I want to hear it, that do they say to you, Pinky, like, I'm going to try this. I want to be vegan now.
Absolutely. all the time. Slutty Vegan has so much influence because it's cool, right? People love things that are cool, right? You know, we live in a monkey see, monkey do type of world. It's some good sometimes it's bad, right? But people follow trends. So the trend right now is Slutty Vegan. So if 5 million people like Slutty Vegan, there's going to be another 5 million that like Slutty Vegan because these people like it too. And what we get to do is we get to utilize celebrities and people who have influence and power and utilize their platform so that when they come to Slutty Vegan and try the food and post on their pages, more people want to say, I want to know what the hype is all about. But so many people have converted because of Slutty Vegan. People say I'm vegan because of Slutty Vegan, and they explain their journeys. You'd be surprised, Alicia, that so many people have never even heard about veganism until Slutty Vegan. So while we have fun, we also get to educate at the same time. And we also get to show people that, yeah, like, this is vegan food and this is what it was made out of. And it tastes good because of this. And it's guilt-free because of this. And people really like to be taught. They say ignorance is bliss, but information is everything. And I'm just so happy that we can give the information all of the time.
I'm so curious how you're getting that information to them. Like if you're a person walking in and you don't know, you just walked in because there was a line outside the door and you said, I need a piece of that. So then what happens? How do you get that information?
So we have something called culture coaches. And the culture coaches, that's the guy that was at the front door that you spoke to. So that is like a real position in the company. Like you apply to be a culture coach, and a culture coach keeps the culture and informs you about the business and the brand and what we represent and the food. So when we typically, you came on a slower day, but normally 90% of the time we have long lines down the block. So what the culture coach does is walk the line, explain the business, the brand, what vegan food is, why we do what we do, what you're going to experience when you walk through the front door, so that by the time they come in, they've already got a pre-experience to the experience and they get excited about it. So by the time they laugh, it's like you go to school and you get a great experience and you get great food.
So for people who don't quite fully understand a food desert, can you talk about what that really means and what does it matter? Like what happens when there's not really good access to food or good food for people? What are the effects of that in your community?
So there's so many effects. There's a saying that rings true that you are what you eat, right? You eat better, you think better, you live better. You eat bad, you think bad, you live bad. And it's just the truth. It sounds cliche, but it's so true. So when you go into inner city communities and there are food deserts and no access to healthy, fresh fruits and vegetables, what happens is that people begin to consume nothing but processed foods, right? And with all the GMOs and so many chemicals in the foods, it can affect children especially. And as they grow up, they have lack of access and lack of information to those foods because they never had them. And it can really provide chemical changes in your brain. And with those chemical changes, you show up in the world that way. And it's so necessary to make sure that people have access to fresh, healthy fruits and vegetables and plant-based options so that they can really be able to expand their mindset, expand their living and their healthiness and their consciousness. If you eat bad food all of your life, you are more privy to illnesses and diseases, especially if you are from a community that those diseases plague you. Right? It just happens that way. It's unfortunate, but it is the truth. So it's necessary for us to make sure that we can provide those options to inner city, low income communities so that they too can be able to have better options so that they can be healthier in the long run.
You had mentioned that people don't invest in certain communities. They ignore them. They're not interested in them. Can you explain to me why you think that is, and how do we fix that, and what is at the core of that? Why is that happening? Why are there food deserts at all?
So I believe that developers especially, they pay attention to location, right? Most developers only go into neighborhoods that they believe will transition within the next 5 to 10 years. So I'm specifically going into neighborhoods that may not have a timeline on that and revitalizing those communities that way and doing it my own way, because what it will do is it will impact the neighborhood by bringing more money into that community and raise the value. So I didn't mention this before, but I actually buy the property and put the business in the property that I purchased, because now I own the real estate. I'm raising the value of the real estate that I own. And then I'm also raising the comps, because once Slutty Vegan gets there, there will be so many other businesses and developers that will want to come there and bring more healthier options, bring more local grocery stores that will ultimately make the community better through food, through access, and through resources. And it's necessary to do that. So the formula that I figured out has tremendously worked for us, and we've seen it. Do you know that every single time I put a restaurant in a community, the next thing I see is every single realtor puts that in their realtor notifications that Slutty Vegan is in the community, that the property value goes up in the community. And when the property value goes up, that means that more people will want to live there. When more people want to live there, then we can add in grocery stores and more opportunities for people to have access to healthier food options.
This is maybe a very stupid question, so forgive me. But by doing that, is there any chance that that would push people out?
So the beautiful thing about what I do is, again, I have the foundation, and with the foundation, I utilize the resources from the foundation to help people in the community. I believe that everybody has the ability to be an entrepreneur. So we really identify the entrepreneur within you for people who live in the area where we put Slutty Vegans, and we offer them the help and the resources to be able to be better, right? If you live in a community and you own that home, we're not telling you to move out. We're telling you that we are creating a safe space for you to stay in this community, and we're going to raise the community up around you so that you do not have to leave. And that's what we do, and we do so damn good at it. And that is a part of the reason why Slutty Vegan is as popular as it is today.
That's so great. Is there anything else you want to share with me?
I just had a baby.
What?
I did.
Is this your first baby?
It is my first baby, and she is a vegan baby.
Do you need some prenatals that you want me to send for
Please.
your breast milk?
Yes.
Okay.
Please send me all of that.
My Kind Organics is my vitamin company, and I have the best prenatals. That's how I started the whole thing.
Oh, please.
And I wrote a book called The Kind Mama, but I'm pretty sure you don't need it.
No, I need that.
Congratulations on your baby. That's so wonderful. And I've just had the best time talking to you, and I think you're amazing. And obviously your place is just so infectious and exciting. And of course it's all you, because you're wonderful. So I'm just so happy to have met you. And next time I come to Atlanta, I'm going to try and hunt you down.
Yes, please. And please be on the lookout for my book, Eat Plants, Bitch.
Oh, yes.
I'm excited about it.
Yes. When you have it, send it to me so that or make me aware so that I can tell everybody about it.
I will absolutely do that. And I would love for you to come to the restaurant so that I could get you on camera, so I could post you and tell everybody in the world that Alicia came to my restaurant. Okay. And brag.
Okay. Okay. Done. A deal.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Pinky.